Rev up your engines!
The Retro Whiskey Network says, Scotty, what's your thoughts on the 2015 Scion TC? I love mine. I want to know anything special I'd look for repair-wise. Okay, no, they're well made. You know, they're just Toyotas. I could never for the life of me understand why Toyota decided to branch off with Scion. They were made in the same factories that Toyotas were made. They're Toyotas, right? But I guess they were going for the young generation to be hip. I know when they first started it out, they sent guys with crews and hipsters giving free tours with good-looking men and women for the young kids to try to relate to, and I mean, that PR BS. They're basically Toyotas, and now they're sold under the Toyota brand. They gave up with trying to sell it on their own. It's kind of a stupid idea if you ask me, but they're solid built vehicles. You change the oil regularly, take care of them. They can last a really long time. I just never understood why Toyota decided they wanted to sell it under a different name. I mean, I can understand Lexus versus Toyota because they cost a lot more, and they decided, well, we're going to make luxury cars and call them Lexus. But then when you're going the other way, more economy cars, they should have just called them Toyotas because that's what they're called now. Who knows what goes on in the minds of marketing people. Benjamin Scion says, Scotty, I recently bought a 2010 Ford Escape 4-cylinder. Automatic has 80,000 miles. Your opinions? Okay, I got customers, those things have 220,000 miles on them, and they're still running good. It's not a racing vehicle, it's a 4-cylinder engine, but they can last an awful long time. The weak point, of course, is the automatic transmission. So if you're a conservative driver, it might last you a really long time. Just don't tear off and try to do burnouts and stuff in it, because that'll burn the automatic transmission out, because that's the weak point of the vehicle. But if you take care of it, change the oil and filter, change the transmission filter and fluid every 50, 60,000 miles, you might get a lot of mileage out of those vehicles. They're relatively well made. Luminosity Music said, my Camry oil filter is upside down. How can I change the oil filter without getting oil all over the place? Well, yeah, engineers, who knows what they're thinking of, like I said earlier. But there is a way generally. What you can do is change it first thing in the morning, after it sits all night, and then you change it when the engine's cold without starting it. Usually, most of the top is drained off. Then when you unscrew it and take it off, not that much is going to drip out. And it's a lot neater doing it that way. That's how I do it if I'm really in a hurry, but normally I don't care, I just unscrew it, and I got a drip pan, and then the pieces drip, and the side of the block gets a little oil, and I just get those blue paper towels, and I wipe it all off. But if you let it sit overnight and then change it cold, you're not going to get hardly any else dripping all over the place. And then instead of hot oil, it's cool oil, and it won't burn you or anything, if you don't mind just waiting overnight. Michael Ortiz says, Scotty, I got a problem here on my 94 Honda Civic DX. The backup light won't turn off. Any solutions? There's two types of backup lights. If you have a standard transmission, on the transmission there's a backup light switch in the back of the transmission, and you just take it off, buy another one, put it on, and plug it in. But if it's an automatic, the backup light switch is built on the transmission range sensor, where the cable comes in that goes park, neutral, drive, that. You got to buy that whole assembly and then replace that. So if it's an automatic, you got to replace the transmission range sensor, but if it's a standard, you only have to change the backup light sensor, which is a lot cheaper and easier to do. Saddlebake Preacher says, we have a 2015 Grand Caravan. Bought it new and serviced regularly, but it has 97,000 interstate and rural driving. You talk about transmission, I forgot to change the fluid. Have I gone too long? Well, not if you did the kind of driving that you're talking about all the time. Interstate driving, going 60 miles an hour, is equivalent to 10% city stop and go. So say you put 20,000 miles driving back and forth to California. That's equivalent to like 2,000 miles city driving. So no, if you do mainly higher speed driving, it's not too late. Change it now. Now, if it was 97,000 miles of city stop and go, yeah, it's too late. But if you really did a lot of high speed driving, no, I would definitely change it now. Supreme NJVA says, Scotty, my 2003 Lincoln Navigator shakes a lot when I drive. What seems to be the problem? Okay, depends what's shaking. If it's the steering wheel at certain speeds, first you check the tires to see if they're out of balance and to see if they're warped or the rims are bent. If it's not that, you have a suspension man, or you jack it up, pull on the wheel, see if the tie rods, ball joints or anything are worn. If that's not in, you go to a front end place that gives free estimates on problems that you have, and they can see if the alignment is off or some other part is worn. And if it's not that, it can even be the drive shaft is worn, and the universal joints or the CV joints are worn, and then at certain speeds they'll start to wobble and it'll start to shake. There's a lot of things they can do, but you start with the simple, like out of balance tires, and work your way out if you have to. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.